What if the person who spent your entire childhood stealing your spotlight ended up holding a knife to your pregnant belly, screaming that you stole her life? And what if, 9 months later, police found a fully furnished nursery in a storage unit, with your unborn twins' names already painted on the wall? I was crossing the stage at my college graduation when my sister collapsed screaming in the audience. The ceremony stopped, paramedics ran in, and honestly, I wasn't even surprised. My sister Vanessa has been doing this since we were kids. She fainted in the front row at my first piano recital. She staged a fake heart attack the night I was crowned prom queen. Every milestone I ever had, she found a way to make about her. So 3 years later, when her baby shower invitation landed in my mailbox, something in me finally snapped. Not into rage, but into strategy. I turned to my husband, Marcus, that same night. "We're trying for a baby now," I told him. He blinked. "I thought we agreed to wait." "We're not waiting anymore." I'd done the math. Her shower was in 3 months. If I got pregnant fast enough, my timeline and hers would collide perfectly. 2 negative tests later, on the 3rd try, it worked. At my first ultrasound, the tech went quiet, moved the wand around twice, then said, "Congratulations, it's twins." I actually laughed out loud in that dim little room. For the next few months, I played the world's most convincing, supportive sister. I built her a countdown graphic for Instagram. I posted 5 months until Vanessa becomes a mom. I invited everyone I knew because I wanted her shower packed with witnesses. Somewhere in there, she posted the name she'd picked for her daughter, a name I had written in a diary at 15 years old and never told a single living soul. She'd been in my room. She'd been in my things. And she still thought she was the one being wronged. Morning of the shower, I curled her hair and told her how glad I was that she got to be the pregnant one, that even Mom said it was better this way since Vanessa was the pretty one and the photos would actually turn out. She ate it up completely. "No interruptions this time," she said. "This is my day." "Of course it is," I told her, smiling. She'd gone all out. 3-tier cake, balloon arch, a full gender reveal performance even though the whole internet already knew it was a girl. I wore a loose dress. My bump was visible if you knew to look for it. Nobody was looking. Yet. I actually overheard her whisper to our mom, "God, look how big Nina's gotten. If I didn't know better, I'd think she was the pregnant one." Mom laughed. "Well, you've always been the thin one." Good for the photos, then the reveal. Pink confetti, screaming, cheering, and right as the crowd peaked, my morning sickness hit for real. I bolted for the bathroom. When I came back out, pale and apologizing, the words just tumbled out. "Sorry, it's the twins. They've been brutal lately. 6 weeks along and I can't keep anything down." Silence. Then chaos. "Twins?" Every head turned. Every hand reached for my stomach. And Vanessa's face went from pink to red to a color I'd never actually seen a person turn. She grabbed her chest. I can't breathe. Classic. Except this time nobody ran to her. Even her husband Tyler was asking me about double strollers. She screamed that she was having a panic attack, that this was her party. And when nobody moved, she grabbed the cake knife off the dessert table and pointed it straight at my stomach. "This is my day," she shrieked, mascara running. "Mine. I've been trying for 3 years." Tyler wrestled the knife out of her hand while she dropped to the floor, sobbing that I always ruin everything. My mother rushed past me, to comfort her. At least 20 phones were already recording. That's when my mom turned and slapped me across the face. Hard enough that the whole yard went silent except for Vanessa's crying. "You couldn't let her have 1 day," my mom screamed. Marcus stepped between us and told her to back off, or he was calling the police himself. My friend Paige announced she already was. Then Vanessa threw up all over her own shoes and Tyler said they needed to get to the hospital. Contractions, stress-induced. As they walked her to the car, she turned around and screamed, loud enough for a dozen recording phones to catch it. "If I lose this baby, I'll make sure you lose yours too." We filed a police report that night. The videos went viral within 24 hours. War baby shower meltdown. Psycho sister. Half the comments called Vanessa unhinged. The other half said I deserved it for stealing her moment. Neither side really understood what 15 years of this does to a person. The next morning, my mother showed up pounding on our door at 7 a.m., screaming for me to take the videos down, that I'd destroyed the family. Neighbors came out to watch. Marcus threatened to call the police if she didn't leave, and 20 minutes of screaming later, she finally did. My brother-in-law, Nathan, Vanessa's husband's cousin, close with our whole family, called begging for a sit-down. We agreed to meet somewhere public. At the restaurant, Vanessa slid an envelope across the table with a smirk. She was suing me for emotional distress and endangering her pregnancy, $500,000. My cousin Talia, an actual attorney, laughed out loud when she read it later that night. "This gets thrown out in a week," she said. "We filed for a restraining order instead. The judge granted it, 500 feet, covering our home, Marcus's office, my OB's clinic. Vanessa violated it within 2 days, showing up at Marcus's building until security dragged her out. Then things got stranger. Someone leaked my private medical records into a local parenting Facebook group. My due date, my doctor's name, my appointment schedule. Turned out Nathan's wife, who worked in hospital billing, had been quietly feeding Vanessa information for weeks. She was fired and later charged federally. My blood pressure started climbing. At my anatomy scan, the tech went quiet again. One twin was measuring small. My doctor put the stress and my pregnancy in the same sentence for the first time, and I broke down in that ultrasound room with gel still on my stomach. Then Tyler texted me, shaking. He'd found a notebook in their closet, pages and pages going back to high school, all titled some version of How to Ruin Nina's Day. He was filing for emergency custody. He said he'd testify against her if it came to that. It came to that. 3 months after the shower, mid-deposition, my contractions started for real. 30 weeks, far too early. Doctors managed to stop them barely. Around the same time, a new judge threw out Vanessa's counter-restraining order and issued warrants for both her and my mother for violating the original one. Vanessa, meanwhile, was posting online about being persecuted, completely detached from what she'd actually done. She showed up at my hospital once, claiming she wanted to apologize, and instead screamed in front of 3 nurses that she hoped my babies would die. Security removed her. Witness intimidation got added to her charges. Then Tyler filed for divorce and full custody of their daughter, citing the notebook and Vanessa's refusal to take her prescribed medication. Around that same time, my friend Paige showed up at our apartment with a dusty box she'd kept for years, old childhood photos my mother had thrown out. Vanessa and me at 5 and 6, missing front teeth, arms around each other on a beach, matching Halloween costumes. Her helping me blow out candles on my 8th birthday, grinning like she meant it. For a moment, I wasn't looking at the woman who'd pointed a knife at my stomach. I was looking at a sister who used to exist before something in her broke. That fragile peace didn't last. One evening, while Marcus and I were hosting a small backyard gathering with a few close friends, Vanessa showed up on our lawn 8 months pregnant, screaming that I was turning the whole family against her. Paige tried to walk her back to her car. Vanessa shoved her away, and then doubled over, water breaking right there on the grass. The ambulance ride was 15 minutes of her screaming that I'd caused her labor. She delivered a healthy girl that night. Out of spite, or something close to it, she gave the baby my name as a middle name. Tyler refused to sign the birth certificate until she agreed to counseling. 2 months after the original shower, at a small do-over gathering Paige threw for me, a process server interrupted to hand me new restraining order paperwork, Vanessa now claiming I'd caused her premature labor. The judge assigned to the case turned out to attend the same church as my mother. My cousin Talia was furious about the conflict of interest and immediately filed for recusal, though the appeal would take weeks to move through the system. Then came the night everything truly spiraled. Tyler filed for emergency custody after finding that notebook. 20 pages, over and over, of plans to destroy me, dating back to high school. When the custody officer arrived to serve the papers, Vanessa grabbed her daughter and fled in her car with our mother blocking the officer's path behind her. Tyler filed a missing person report within the hour. An alert went out with the baby's photo. I sat glued to my phone that whole night while Marcus paced the living room. Near midnight, police found them at a motel 2 towns over. Vanessa fought the arresting officers on camera, while our mother screamed about persecution. The baby was returned to Tyler unharmed, and both women were booked on charges of custodial interference, stacked on top of everything else already piling up against them. My cousin Talia sat me down not long after and asked, plainly, if I was prepared to testify against my own mother and sister in a case that could send them both to prison. I said yes before I let myself think too hard about it. Nathan, still reeling from his own family fallout, came by looking a decade older than he had a year earlier. He apologized. Not for anything specific, but for 30 years of quietly enabling my mother's favoritism and never once saying anything. He said he should have protected me a long time ago. I didn't have it in me to forgive him that day. I'm still not sure I fully have. At Vanessa's arraignment, my mother, sitting beside her in the courtroom, suddenly grabbed her chest and collapsed. Real heart attack this time. Vanessa screamed at the cameras that I was killing our mother while paramedics did CPR on the courtroom floor. She survived. Days later, against Marcus's wishes, I had myself wheeled down 2 floors to see her. She looked small and gray in that bed. She grabbed my hand and told me through tears that she'd been living vicariously through Vanessa out of jealousy, jealous that I'd built a life without her help. It didn't fix anything, but it was the first true thing she'd said to me in years. 2 weeks later, leaked psychiatric records showed Vanessa had been diagnosed with narcissistic personality disorder and postpartum psychosis. Her defense shifted overnight to an insanity claim. Then she escaped a psychiatric hold entirely, stole a knife from a hospital cafeteria, and made it to the maternity ward doors screaming my name before security tackled her. This time, no bail. At 34 weeks, my doctor scheduled a C-section, timed almost exactly with Vanessa's trial. I testified from my hospital bed over video, listing every recital, every graduation, every milestone she'd hijacked since we were children, while she muttered to herself off camera. My mother took the stand too and finally admitted, under the weight of a timeline laid out in evidence, that the pattern had been real and that she'd chosen to ignore it for years. Tyler read the notebook aloud in court. Plans against my prom, my college acceptance, my wedding, until Vanessa stood up screaming that the footage was doctored and had to be dragged out by bailiffs. The judge ordered a full psychiatric evaluation. Weeks later, she was ruled unfit to stand trial and committed indefinitely to a state facility. My mother's case moved forward separately. She eventually took a plea, got probation and mandatory therapy, and was barred from contacting us unless we reached out first. Our twins were born at 35 weeks. A son first, then his sister a minute later, both small but fighting. They spent 3 weeks in the NICU learning to breathe and eat on their own, while the legal fallout kept unfolding without us. Nathan's wife pleading guilty to the records breach, Tyler winning full custody, my mother beginning actual therapy for the first time in her life. A letter came from Vanessa's facility a week after the twins came home. She was pregnant again, from before the separation, and had written to apologize as part of her treatment. Tyler showed up not long after, devastated at being tied to her for another 18 years. By the time the twins were 3 weeks old and cleared to travel, Vanessa's psychiatric team called with a warning. She'd become fixated on the twins during sessions, insisting they were actually hers and had tried to escape twice to find us. Her doctor recommended we leave town the moment the babies could fly. We left everything behind, the house, most of the furniture, 30 years of history, for a new city 3,000 miles away. At the airport, I saw her one last time across the terminal, thinner, medicated, being led by an aide. Our eyes met. She mouthed something that looked like, "I'm sorry." Then she was gone. Months later, we learned she'd lost the second pregnancy during a psychotic episode and had been moved to long-term care. Even after everything, that news still hurt somewhere I didn't expect. We rebuilt slowly. Our old friend Paige followed us out west within the year. Tyler moved close enough for the cousins to grow up knowing each other, far enough to stay clear of the wreckage. My mother sent a handmade quilt for the twins' first birthday, with a note I still haven't opened. Not because I'm not ready, because I'm not sure I need to be. In therapy, I finally said the thing I'd never said out loud, that I got pregnant to win, not to become a mother. My therapist didn't flinch. She just asked how that sat with me now. Empty, I told her. Empty and still a little angry and slowly, finally, healing. A year after the shower that started it all, I posted one photo, the twins laughing in a park, with a caption that read, "The best revenge is a life well lived." Then I turned off the comments, because some stories don't need an audience anymore. They just need an ending you can actually live inside. These days, the twins are old enough to ask questions I'm not fully ready to answer. Why don't we visit Grandma? Why don't we have an Aunt Vanessa the way their cousin has an Aunt Nina? I've started writing things down for them, not to hand over now, but for later, whenever later turns out to be. Not a villain story. Not a hero story either. Just the truth, plainly told, the way I wish someone had told it to me before I let it consume 2 years of my life. Marcus still says I overcorrected, that I could have just skipped her shower and let her have her moment. Maybe he's right. But I also know that if I hadn't announced it that day, I might still be the version of myself who apologized for taking up space at my own milestones. I'm not her anymore. I don't think I want to be. Tyler still sends photos of the girls playing together when the families visit. My mother's letters come less often now, shorter, less desperate, more like someone actually working on herself instead of performing regret. I still haven't answered most of them. I will, eventually. Just not today. Some nights I still dream about the sister who taught me to ride a bike in our driveway, cheering every time I wobbled and caught myself. I wake up from those dreams grieving someone who might have only ever existed in memory. Marcus doesn't ask questions on those mornings. He just holds on until it passes. That's the whole story. Not a clean one. Not one where anyone gets to feel entirely good about how it ended. But it's ours, and for the first time in years, nobody gets to rewrite it but me.